Hey, what's up, Spooky fam? Today welcome to day 2 of Babysitter Horror Movie Review Week. Today we are talking about I almost said the last house on the left. The house of the, imagine that was a babysitter movie. Yikes. This is The House of the Devil from 2009 by Ty West, who you guys probably know from more popularly X, which just came out recently. Which I still am unsure about. I don't know, it's just, I'm Ashley will gather her thoughts eventually.
Hello.
Have you checked the children?
In 1983, financially struggling student Samantha Hughes takes a strange babysitting job that coincides with a full lunar eclipse. She slowly realizes that her clients harbor a terrifying secret, putting her life in mortal danger. Like I mentioned, this is directed by Ty West, but we do get a special appearance by Greta Gerwig, who I have a massive girl crush on. So let's quickly talk about the babysitting fears in this movie, because I kind of just briefly touched on that in All Hallows Eve, and I kind of want to start going more in depth from here on out. So firstly, this is a slasher film. This is set in the Satanic Panic era in the 1980s. This is scary because this is someone taking a babysitting job for an unknown person, an unknown family, just kind of out of desperation. So you don't really know what you're getting into in a situation like that, which we can obviously see from the movie. Also for me, in this setting, you have no cell phone, which we've all just become accustomed to in this time, and no internet service, no GPS to know exactly where you are. The phone lines in the movie were tapped. Everything is just set up for her to fail in this movie, and it's just kind of scary that she is in a trap here, and you know, like I said, there's no way for her to have her own thing to see where she is and to have her own way of contacting someone. And that's really scary if you're going to babysit. I was babysitting without cell phones for a long time. So let's get into the plot breakdown, and then we'll talk about some fun stuff at the end of the video. Samantha Hughes is desperate for fast cash for rent and takes a babysitting job that she sees in an ad. She is initially stood up by Mr. Ullman, but he contacts Samantha later and she agrees. She gets a ride to the Ullmans' remote mansion from her best friend Megan, who is played by Greta Gerwig, and I think she looks absolutely fantastic in this movie. When Samantha gets there, it is revealed that she will be taking care of Mrs. Ullman's mother instead of a child, and the Ullmans do in fact have a child, but he is full grown. At first, Samantha refuses but negotiates a fee of $400. She then arranges for Megan to pick her up at 12:30 a.m. On her way home, Megan is shot in the face, and this is a scene that comes out of nowhere, but it is so good, especially if you love gore, if you really like. Alex and I really like head trauma in movies. It just feels visceral, it really does. I've had my own kind of head trauma, so I can understand the pain. But just seeing that happen, it comes out of nowhere, and it's such a good scene in the movie. Sam orders a pizza from a place that was heavily recommended by Mr. Ullman, and as she dances around the house, she breaks a vase accidentally, and while cleaning it up, she finds old family photos, but it's not the Ullmans. There was a Volvo out front in the beginning when they first approached the mansion, and they were kind of like, whose Volvo is this? Turns out it was a family that occupied the mansion before the Ullmans lived there. And Sam discovers that as she finds corpses of the families in the photos that she finds, who were the actual owners of the house. The pizza is delivered by the guy that shot Megan. After Sam eats the pizza, she passes out because obviously the pizza was drugged. As she is falling asleep, as she's passing out, she sees movement from behind a door on the 3rd floor of the house. She wakes up during a lunar eclipse, which is mentioned in the synopsis of the movie, and is bound in the center of a pentagram. The Ullman family, including Megan's killer / pizza guy, is their son, and they are all beginning a ritual. A woman named Mother, who I'm going to refer to her as Mother, who is Mrs. Ullman's mother, who Sam was there to take care of. She is revealed to be a grotesque witch-like figure, and she slices her arm and pours blood into a goat skull and uses the blood to draw occult-like symbols on Samantha's belly and forehead. She then forces Samantha to drink the blood, and let me tell you, if someone forced me to do something like that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I would just play dead, because I'm a bitch when it comes to liquids or things that I'm not familiar with, and I would be even more uncomfortable if someone like that was feeding it to me. So I'm playing dead. I'm holding my breath, I'm playing dead. Sam stabs Mother and gets away to find Megan's body. She then stabs Victor, who is their son, and Mrs. Ullman to death, but she can't escape thoughts and flashes of Mother in her mind. Mr. Ullman chases her into a cemetery where he tells Sam that she was chosen and her destiny is to accept him. Sam threatens Mr. Ullman with Victor's gun, but he tells her to shoot him, claiming that he's only a messenger and it's too late. Instead, she shoots herself in the head, and the scene cuts to a TV news broadcast about a strange lunar eclipse from the night before. Somehow Sam is in a hospital with her head bandaged up. Of course, movie logic. You know, if they want the protagonist to live, they're gonna live. A nurse walks in and pats Sam, who's unconscious, on the stomach and says, "You will be just fine, the both of you," implying that she was impregnated throughout that whole situation. And that's where the movie ends. It ends on this very ominous, horrific, just kind of note where you're like, oh, she's got a life ahead of her, you know, not good for her. So very quickly, let's talk about some key set pieces and things they did in this movie to make it feel and mimic the 1980s. Feel like and mimic the ninth. Did I say that right? So it was shot on 16mm film. Ty West, this is a reason why I'm not sitting right with X because of the way that it felt so dark, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. This was shot on 16mm film, but it made it feel like it was a really immersive kind of 80s experience. You see the fashion, the hair, they all have feathered hair, which I said looks great on Greta, by the way. But just the way that they're styled and the way their hair is styled and the very minimal makeup in the movie, I think it all really did a good job of feeling true to the time. There's a restaurant scene, they're at a pizza place, and I'm gonna talk more about that later, but that whole scene really did feel like a pizza place from the 80s. There was a 1980s Sony Walkman that Sam wears throughout the movie, and they play songs throughout the movie, and people have narrowed it down with the music in the movie to being around 1983. There's a Volvo that just kind of feels to the time. And Ty West uses a lot of hard zooms and hard, like, without like dolly, like being on a dolly and like panning it slowly. He kind of like does a hard zoom in the movie, which kind of feels like cheesy camera shots from the 80s. In the opening credits, the words, the title screen, which I did post on Instagram, I'm gonna leave the photo in here. I think it was fantastic. It was a yellow font and a really awesome freeze frame with Sam right there in the middle of it. And the closing credits did not play over a black screen, it played over a final shot from the movie. So in 2010, there was a special release of this movie that got released. If you guys know, they're called clamshell, the VHS, the heavy ones. I have one here, ones that look like this. It was released in one of these, of the House of the Devil. But it was released to closely mimic what would have been released in the 80s, and I think that's really cool. And if anyone has a copy of it they want to part with, please get in touch with me. So let's finish this video off with some facts about the movie. This movie was shot over the course of 18 days, and it kind of feels like it was shot over like a longer time than that. There was just so much It feels like a lot was put into it, and I really enjoyed it. Something I do think is cool, they wanted to keep the budget under $1 million, so they shot with, they sourced camera crew, people, equipment, everything from the nearby surrounding area in Connecticut where it was shot, so it was a little bit cheaper to shoot with. The house they shot in was infested with ladybugs, and you can see a few in a couple of shots in the movie. And like I said, we're going to talk more about the pizza place that they were at. They actually sourced the retro Coke cups from eBay so that they could keep everything looking like it would have at that time. And this was Greta Gerwig's first ever death scene in any movie, and it was shot on her very last day of filming. And I just kind of wanted to add that in there because it was her first time being killed off on camera. And it was kind of extreme. So that's where I'm going to leave this video today. I hope that I tried to kind of condense it and keep it going quick. I'm sorry if I talked a little bit fast. I hope that you did I talk fast? Tomorrow we will be talking about this movie here called Élie, about a sadistic babysitter, and there's lots of fears, lots of things that you should be scared of in this one. Even though it's not a really scary movie, the fears that it plays on are horrific. So stay tuned for tomorrow's video about Élie, and I will see you then. Sayonara, Spooky fam.